back to Freedom Over Fascism. As the founder,
Hi.
oh, as the founder of Groundwork Agency, Aviv has spent years at the intersection of strategy and storytelling, leading teams that turn research-driven insights into digital narratives that mobilize communities and win campaigns. Across 4 election cycles, he's overseen the creation of more than 150 ads tested, refined, and proven to persuade. You can find him on Substack at the Groundwork Agency. You can find him online at thegroundworkagency.com and at Substack at substack.com/@groundwork. Also, so please subscribe to him, and also please subscribe to us at www.freedomoverfascism.us. Aviv, I would like to start by talking about authenticity. It's a big word these days, and lots of people are talking about it. So can you tell me what you think about it?
Absolutely. Authenticity is very important, and it is changing meaning in the last 15 or 20 or so years. I think in politics, I think what it is when you say authenticity in politics really to me is about what you say, how you say it, and where it all lines up with who you are, right? But it's not about being perfect. It's about being real in real time. And that has gotten harder for Democrats. Uh, it's a party built on moral precision, right? Like we have this imperative to be morally right, wanting to be fair and factual. These are big problems for us. And that instinct makes for good policy, but very bad performance. We try to control a message in an environment that increasingly, almost entirely, really rewards chaos, imperfection, and spontaneity. So Republicans perform authenticity through chaos. That is their defining quality of the last 15 or so years. And Democrats try to earn it through correctness, right? Now, layer on top of that, that the left can also be very vicious in its moral policing of purity. I think that makes it harder for us to feel like we have to appease everyone and have to be very delicate in the way we speak. We self-censor. And the other part is it's not just about us, it's about the environment. The media landscape is no longer linear, but rather a mosaic through which we find and understand people through different places and different aspects of their character. And when you meet someone through these fragments of touch points instead of one polished broadcast narrative, the control of that reads as fake and you lose trust.
Right. So given that most of us are online somewhere and watching some version of Reels or TikToks or little videos, having someone talk to the camera as if they're talking to you is much more effective than doing a scripted, fully made up spot, like when AOC gets on Instagram in her sweatshirt, or Tara McGowan just cooked dinner and did a rant, and
Yeah.
those sorts of things. I wonder if that's, well, it seems to me fairly generational, unless it's specifically like really the older politician is really, really working on how to kind of delayer all of the masks. And obviously, Mamdani is the one who's in the news all the time about how authentic he is in talking to the people of New York and coming up with really interesting things. So, what are your thoughts?
Um, I actually let's give your listeners and viewers a peek behind the curtain here. Before I was late to our call today. I apologize. And I sent you a picture of how I looked. I said I look like this. I'm not ready. And you can flash a picture of it up on the screen so people can see. I had a pink bow in my hair, and I didn't feel like I was ready to be on camera. You said that you look authentic, and I was like, damn it, she's right. That is authentic. That's authentically me right now. That's exactly me. Why should I change that? And I took a minute, and this is where I think authenticity plays a big role. That is authentically me. But I'm coming to you today. You've invited me on your podcast to be an expert in this space. I don't know if that would convey expert. If I had just logged onto my Instagram and been like, I'm going to do a rant right now, that would be authentic. So
Mhm.
there is authenticity. We like I said, we have always been many different people. I'm a different person at home with my family than I am at work, than I am at drinks, than I am with my extended family. We are now all different people on Facebook, on Twitter, on Instagram, on meetings. These are all different aspects of our personality. As long as we can remain core to our beliefs, our values, and our core identity, we can be that character in different places. So I come to you today, in what I think is my, blue collar business casual attire to, I am an expert. I can still lift up the veil and give you some personality. It's not about a tight controlled narrative, but that's the aspect, right? I don't think we would be happy with Chuck Schumer in his long suit, doing a TikTok dance trying to explain the points of a policy example. He's behind a podium. That's where he exists. And that no longer works in the media landscape that we have. It is top down and we are bottom up. So yeah, AOC, Mamdani, I don't want him to correct me. He's very good at and Gavin Newsom all are doing a very good job of this.
Yeah. I want to peel back the layers, as you will, of how you look in different spaces and whether you look like an expert in your casual clothes. I spent a lot of time in the Substack world where everybody and their dog are doing lives, and I'm doing a whole bunch of them too.
Yeah.
And so people show up as they show up, and
Mhm.
some people are really well put together. Some people are, in a t-shirt. Some people are like, I don't know, in a robe. And I was watching this morning one where somebody was in Ukraine in her PJs, and I think, I don't spend as much time on Instagram, although I think it's similar, that the difference between looking like an expert and being an expert, and doesn't matter how you look, are getting closer together. But I think someone like my generation, which is Gen X, still feels uncomfortable, a lot of us, just going on how we are. I put makeup on and did my hair today because I still can't bring myself to not do it. So
There's a
so
value to it. There's a value to it. It doesn't have a inherent meaning. It also is audience specific, where you are, who you're talking to, all of those things really matter. And you look great today, by the way.
oh, well, thank you.
Yeah.
That's very kind. I kind of go with your mirror. Um
Yeah. It's a good
so
mirror.
it is. So let's you talk about Chuck Schumer. And there's so many things to say about Chuck Schumer these days. Um I want to talk about, yeah, he's a guy behind a podium, but less and less. Well, he hasn't seemed like in touch for a long time, but in this environment, he seems so out of touch with where the base is, certainly, um, and even like the idea of putting up a fight seems foreign to him. So where do you think we go? I mean, Schumer's not, going to stay where he is. Jeffries going to stay where he is.
Okay.
Janet Mills, who I adore, is running for Senate with Chuck's
Hmm.
help in Maine.
Hmm.
So we're still in the boomer. Well, Hakeem is probably Gen X, but whatever. They're not kind of
He's an
passing the
yeah.
torch.
No, and they won't. He's, let's call him an elder Gen Xer. Um, you're correct. Um, it is hard for power to relinquish itself, and these are people who have served, who have built coalitions, who have done work. Um, I How could you feel like it's just my job to now step aside? I mean, it's what is what is needed is for more young Democrat leadership to actively participate and push the envelope to get these people either out of power or to move their position, because the media and landscape is changing, because the news landscape is changing because of outside forces. I would argue that historically government has not moved because of its own will, but because people on the outside have pushed it to do that which it needed. Um, I I think more people should be going on podcasts to get their message across. That is a place that's critically important. This long form media that is dominant in conservative spaces, and we don't need some left wing Joe Rogan. That is a ridiculous concept. There are wonderful, intelligent podcasts that you can go on, and you can go on Joe Rogan and talk about things um, that are important, that are necessary. And it's not that, you have to be loud in this space. The environment, the internet rewards loud, not right. And that's very challenging, because in trying to represent and uh, everyone, we have stopped speaking the language that everybody could understand. We've message tested and A/B tested to death all of the things that we think we have to do and say. And the truth is, people are goldfish. They have a pretty short memory. You
Right.
can give something and see if it lands and change it. You can try things. You have to be comfortable to fail in public. God knows that Trump is. I mean,
Right.
this isn't about uh, winning everything you say. It's about being the loudest voice in the room. And damn it, we have to be, while being right. That has to be uh, the agenda.
Yes. And being right can't be a narrow version of pleasing everybody and passing all the purity tests. We've got to allow voices to be. I mean, do not in any way agree with Ezra Klein that we need to have anti-abortion candidates. That's ridiculous and politically stupid. But there are a range within our party um, where there's a range of thinking, but there's also a range of presenting, like how they present themselves. And um, and I think again that's generational, and getting people to give up power is really hard. So um, do you how do you think we move forward? Do we just like keep working on primarying some of the older people, like whatever's going to happen in Maine is going to be, well, I'm moving to Maine next year, so that'll be interesting.
Oh,
I guess I'll get to vote on that. Uh,
right.
so, yeah, how do we get from here to there?
Um, could you ask your question just a little bit differently? I want to make sure I answer it completely.
Yeah, now you're going to make me remember it. Um, how do we essentially change generations or move to younger generations
Yeah.
um, and get the really old ones out of power when they have they have the money in the donor base, but
Mhm.
the people are looking for something else, and avoid purity testing, and avoid being like fossilized, and continue to, really, so really connect with people emotionally so that they want to keep paying attention. That's a lot of different questions. I'm really sorry.
No, it's okay. Listen, for to get all those answers, you just have to subscribe to my my private conference. That's that's 9.99 a month. No, because if I had all those answers, look, I think that those are the important questions that we have to be looking forward to. I think those conversations are being had as well. Uh, I believe it was uh, the new head of the DCCC, or the Democratic National Committee, um, was on uh, Jon Stewart's podcast, and it was a strange conversation. And John even acknowledges it at the end that like he said yes and to everything I asked him when I was telling him you're not doing these things. And it's this irrational connection between we're going to do all the stuff you want. We can do it. We have it. We have it. When they're not listening, when they push somebody like David Hogg out of that space because he was interested in primarying different voices. Um, and I think to his credit, I think his name is Ken Martin. I believe Ken Martin said that he wants people to have different voices. He wants diversity in primaries, but that he won't have the DNC financially back them, new voices, if there's already a Democrat in the race. And that's what him and David Hogg disagreed on. David had a PAC, or a group that he was using to fund individuals who would do exactly that. And that's the kind of energy we need. I think David Hogg has the right mentality. That's what you need. I don't care if you're a 6-term Democrat. If you haven't tried to open a bank account in the last 10 years, you may not be qualified for office. If you don't know, if you remember uh, the shift to BlackBerry to iPhone, you might not be a good state representative. Like I'm not saying everyone has to be young, but you need to have some currency in the immediate media game, and that's the kind of hard pressing energy we have. I think Run for Something is a great organization doing this
Mhm.
kind of work, getting young, credible people into office. Uh, Civic Change for Good. Well, I have to make sure I get their name right because I do work with them. Um,
Yeah, you
Civic
should if you work with them. While you make sure.
Civic Power of Change. Civic Power of
Okay.
Change is a great group that connects young, talented uh, politicians, or people who are coming into the space, with the writers, content creators, strategists, um, people like me and others who have been doing this work for no fee, because we're all just invested in helping these people get to the next level.
Mhm.
Um, those are some of the grassroots opportunities that are taking place, as well as
Well,
Swing Left, Vote Forward. These are all places where I think that is happening at a grassroots level.
I think you're right. Amanda Littman is out there, talking everywhere. And she's been on here. I'll have her again. Um, the generational thing is really interesting. And I'm just going to go into it a little bit because, I don't know. Most of my listeners may be boomers. I don't think we have a lot of Gen Zers here. But Gen X, I don't know whether you're probably a millennial.
I'm a millennial. Yeah.
Yeah. We have been screwed at every step. The whole idea that Gen Z is the first generation to not to make what their parents are going to make. So sorry to tell you
Ah,
that was Gen X. And boomers are our parents. Like they're not
mine too.
even.
Mine too.
Right, your parent. So, like, Amanda Lippman is like, "Oh, I think we need to skip Gen X," and we're over here going, "But we haven't had a chance because the boomers won't give up power," and we know, most of us, that we do need young blood, but there's that piece of us that's like, um, nobody's seen us ever, and they're still not seeing us. So, I don't know, that's just like a piece of my what what's going through my head when I was reading Amanda's book. I'm like, she talked about boomers and almost boomers, and I was like, what? Like, we're not
You did not
almost boomers.
appreciate
I
being
did not
lumped in there.
appreciate that. No, but and maybe when I have her on, I will ask. But it is a thing that we need to. You're sometimes right. I think if
Yeah.
you remember rotary phones and how you don't even remember this, having to go to a computer lab to do email and the
I do
and
remember that.
you were
Elder millennial. Elder
elder
millennial.
millennium or
Yeah.
when the web started and dial up and blackberries and blah 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 blah, um i- i- 35 years have passed when, like, I think time is compressed in weird ways. Another topic entirely. um I think in the grassroots, even the boomers who are out there really trying to um, know what a good message is and how to uh, pass it along will agree in the grassroots that we need leaders, we need young leaders, and we need them to get out there and fight without necessarily message testing every word. Or at least, if you're going to do a tested message, just listen to it not, like, let's,
Yeah. We don't
um,
need to go anywhere else. No, I agree.
so, yeah.
Yeah, I think there's actually there's a good amount in there for me to get back to you on. So first, I think yeah, a little hyperbolic. Yeah, we I think Gen Xers can be great politicians and should be out there working for it. Millennials, Gen Xers are all behind in how media is being consumed and perceived and where to go with it. None of us grew up with social media. We didn't have it the way that they do now. And so in that vein, what social media is for everyone is a branding exercise. And as someone who didn't have it, as a lived experience when I was 13, thank God, I don't have the I don't have the like graduate school of high school to teach me how to do social media this way. I know it through working in a professional space, watching trends, seeing it. But kids coming out of high school these days know how to manage a brand online innately. It's like riding a bike. And there are a lot of terrible trade-offs. If you read The Anxious Generation, it's not something we should keep, but
Mhm.
it's it's something that's innate. So whatever we do as leaders, as figures, we need to have those individuals who understand that context, putting the message out there, figuring out where it fits, how to create your authenticity, because authenticity is in and of itself a performance now on social on across all platforms, but there's an understanding of where you are your authentic self here or there. I am not authentic if I'm, trying to make a meeting with my wife to discuss things. We're like, hey, sweetie, we got to sit and chat right now. Like, you
Mhm.
have to be authentic in the right setting. So I think that's where that edge comes in to propel, to share, to give advice. And I'll give examples. I think uh, Gavin Newsom right now, his whole pushback, like trolling PR campaign. I think it's Gavin's PR team or something that's being run by a young Gen Zer, uh, uh, Gen Alpha young woman who I think is from like Stockton or Northern California.
It's
And
brilliant.
sh yeah, look, I'm sure she has a team of people. It can't just be just one, but, like, this is because it needs a level of authenticity, voice, character. It's crafted, and then it is let free to roam wild. Um, and then, Newsom puts himself in his own podcast, which I think is smart because he is able to listen, engage people. He reaches different audiences through the people he brings on. And he is not the same person he is when he's on CNN or Fox. He's way more laid back. He talks to
Mhm.
you, he listens, he lets other people just kind of go on. Like, these opportunities to engage people in these spaces these ways is a curated workload, and allows people to experience the individual in these fragmented ways, and that creates the picture that they need to see. um, we don't see all the features of Donald Trump that the right wing does. We see the things we hate the most. And I know I'm right about this, but there are aspects of his personality that we simply do not get because it is part of their fragmentation. They get the stuff that's gross as well, and they think that's just part of him. He's an imperfect vessel, but he's also all these things.
Mhm.
So that's part of how we need to calibrate our appearance. It needs to be different across spectrums to find the best platform to convey your message, to reach those people. It's it's a game that has to be figured out, and you have to know instinctually where those people are, what talks to them. Uh, those are the things that younger generations have on how to get your authenticity across.
Yeah, they do. It's interesting. I have a high school senior, and he has deliberately chosen not to social media except for, getting stuck watching reels like the rest of us. Um,
Yeah.
and that
Wow. Good for
algorithm,
him.
yeah, well, he still gets stuck. And we've had, we have to have conversations about time and when it's okay and but
Yeah.
I think, but that's a conscious opt out on his part. Um,
Yeah.
the only reason he's on several things is so he can see like a handful of friends and be, available to be on, um, in um, text in chats, with his
Yeah.
friends because they're all over the place.
When Instant Messenger was coming out, I was in high school, and my dad was like, "Wait, what is this? You're gonna have to, like, be social after school now? Like, your friends are messaging you and, like, texting you directly? They don't call the house?" And to be clear, my father is a family therapist and, like, a doctor of board of behavioral science kind of guy. So, like, he's saying all this. He says, when the hell are you kids going to have a chance to relax and not be social? You need to reset. Like, you can't just be on all the time. So there's been this, like, great rewiring, I think that we're calling it, where we're all being reprogrammed to understand and be available and active and connected and all the time, and it wasn't that way. So it's not the world that I want, but I'm dealing with the imperfect world we have, and we need to activate and push against it with the best tools we can, because the, the moral superiority of technology is bad and we shouldn't be engaging with it too much, or these things, like, yeah, I know, but the other side doesn't care about any of this, and
Right.
will literally sell all of our electricity to AI data farms just so just so it
Mhm.
could sell more stuff to you. So you have to start to fight on the same terrain.
Yeah. And, we think good policy will win out in the end when, if no one knows you've done it, it doesn't, um,
Yeah.
it doesn't
Yeah.
help you win elections. It might, feed more people and get more people medical care, but that doesn't necessarily translate. Um, so I still see this such a huge gap between candidates and institutional players and people out in the grassroots who have like this hunger for like leadership from a leader. It may be changing that, like, people are like, okay, well, no one's coming, so we got to get to it ourselves. But like, the hunger for somebody who has got enough heft and understands the activist base is huge. And I don't know that the institutional people necessarily understand that.
I don't think they understand that at all. I think that there's, um, I mean, they clearly don't. There's the money, the funding, the all of it is being funneled towards, yeah, institutional legacy power and Democrats. The thing that Donald Trump did isn't just take control of the party. He took control of the apparatus to fund and funnel to the things he wants. He's a dictator and a tyrant at the end of the day, but he's doing it for his own, you know, self-enrichment, right? So if anyone speaks out, he clamps down on them because that's the way he controls things. And our side is not is doing like the flip the coin side of that, because
Right.
we're we're not listening to what people on the ground are saying that way. And it's not about authenticity isn't about being flawless. It's about being fluent in all of these different spaces. And whoever understands how to sound human will own the political space. Like it can't be the same everywhere. And
Mhm.
until Democrats are more comfortable with the idea that uh, this is going to sound different here. So they're going to sound the same. And you just listen to what people are asking for. You just do some good old fashioned politics. Listen to what people say you're going to do those things, and then change the game. People don't want institutions. They don't want to preserve them. We cannot be uh, fighting to preserve a status quo that is already not uh, to standards. It's failing us. So yeah, you're going to need to push back on big donors, big institutions that have historically supported you, educational institutions that are way too glutted with funding and cost too much for people to get into. Big businesses that are owning lots of our real estate, and uh, you
And
need
our
to come out with
media.
better ideas. And God, our media, I mean, that's beyond. I mean, our media, our technology, all of those need to be pushed to actually serve people. Like we're not we're not governing in a way that makes individual life better. We took for granted maybe how good the 90s were, so to speak. Like economic the economy was good. You could get jobs, you could rise up, there was a middle class. It's been uh whatever money we had as a country, whatever capital, whatever power we built was spent in the Middle East and Afghanistan on wars that yielded nothing, while other countries grew and thrived and invested in themselves. It's not an accident that you'll see lots of memes now on social media. Let's not call them meme videos, content highlighting the incredible life you can have living in China. That's not an accident.
Right.
This is designed a certain way, and this is what other countries have done in the wake of our war on terror. They took that opportunity to spend their money internally. We spent it on on militarization. Yeah, you need to go against the Pentagon. You're going to need to talk about how gloated gluttonous that budget is, how it needs to pass an audit. Like these aren't the wrong things to say, even if it's unpopular in, I don't know, broadcast. I don't know who it's unpopular with.
Oh, well, I think I'm gonna get a little real here, is that the the regime has taken over all the levers of power and destroyed them, most of
Sure.
them, in their own interest. So this gets me, this is kind of a natural segue for me. First, so out here in activist land, we've been talking about the regime for a long time as the regime and not the administration. I have a source inside the Beltway who's institutional, who called me up and said, you know what you should do? You should write an op-ed for the Washington Post saying we need to call it the regime.
Great
And
choice.
I was like, what, who am I talking to? Like out here, everyone that's how everyone talks, but not like inside the Beltway. And so yeah, that was a kind of an odd conversation. But moving on, this might take a really long time, right? To get to the point where we can build again. What do you think? I think we're going to, this actually comes from one of our earlier conversations. We are going to need people to be really creative in how we build the society that we want to live in after however many years it's going to take under dictatorship. Do you have any thoughts on that?
Creative ideas on how to restructure the country for the better?
Well, that's the last question I'm going to ask you. So we could talk about the concept of it needing to be done, or how long it might take, or you can like start in on your radically creative ideas right now, because we got to start generating them.
I mean, yeah, I think I have a notepad somewhere where I just keep adding more stuff to.
So
It
let's
will
go
take a
there.
long time. I mean, yeah, I mean it. Okay, I mean it will take a long time, but it needs to it needs to come from the bottom. It needs to come from, what do people actually need? We need um we need food, we need water, we need homes and education, clean air, good paying jobs. Okay. So I think if we went out to any part of the country now, we'd get at least three of those answers in some order, right? So
Right.
how do we make sure that we achieve those goals for people? Well, we need money to do it with, and we can't be shortchanging it just to help institutions, just to save face for the institution. Give a really weird example. This week, Monday, Columbus Day nationally, Indigenous Peoples Day in Los Angeles.
In Massachusetts.
Schools, Massachusetts too, great. Um, Schools closed for the most part. Parks also closed.
Right.
Yeah, it's a
Daycare's
holiday. I
probably
understand.
also closed.
Also, daycare's closed too. So parks are closed and daycares are closed and schools are closed. So what have we done here? Okay, it's a holiday, so what do we have to do? I don't know. You could have figured this out, institution, but you said this is the affordable way to do it. One thing's closed, so the other thing's closed. There needs to be a practicality to how we execute our institutional goals. There's a bureaucracy that will always have to exist for large societies to exist, but it can't be at the sake of an individual's daily needs. So, I mean, we're talking about ensuring that uh, there's enough schooling to go around. I mean, damn it. I think the government, the regime just advertised that they're willing to like pay off college loans and give like a one-time like $30,000 bonus, signing bonus for ICE agents if you sign up to join ICE. We
Yeah.
proposed that for teachers and people lost their fucking mind.
Right.
Excuse
Mhm.
my language. But
No,
that's
no
the
excuse
that's the
needed.
point.
That
But
is the point.
that's
And you know
here in
what else?
California, mm,
Uh,
so much
just
else.
so much else. But in the kind of little bubble that I'm or community that I've become part of on Substack, Um, there are veterans who, are actually paying attention, and there's a like route back to being a civilian in the military has been there for a long time. So
Mhm.
you can spend your last 6 months doing something else. Now they are told to funnel those people to ICE. They can spend the last 6 months of their enlistment in ICE. They get, as long as they're willing to like follow orders, they get a ton of money, and they get the trained people who are coming out of the military. Yeah, yeah. Not a lot of people know that.
Ru
So
yeah, Russell Vaught is a real, psychopath. That guy really understands how to manipulate, control, and destroy government operations. Yeah, that's a
right,
really
and talk about
sadistic
another
fucking
social.
thing to do.
Right. It's uh talking about like the money and the corporations. Um, there are these flock cameras that um
What kind of
are
cameras?
it's called, the brand is Flock, and they're
Oh,
like
okay.
on um uh you know traffic lights and such
Yeah.
throughout the country.
Mhm.
In Texas, uh they used 87,000 images to follow a woman who went to another state to get an abortion, followed her by her license plate, and then charged her when she got back.
Were
And
they
that was,
tracking her menstrual cycle through an app?
I don't quite know how they knew she was gonna get an abortion, but like they tracked her using that many cameras because it matters
Well,
that much to them.
that's the size of government that fits in your bedroom. That's the size they wanted. That's it.
Right.
Because that's
Exactly.
insane. This poor woman, I oh my God.
Right.
Wow, that's sadistic. I didn't hear that story. Thank you for telling me.
I'm surrounded by people who are actually really doing a lot of deep digging, and it's clarifying. Um, I wonder how places like California and Massachusetts, we can even, make it bigger by saying, California, Oregon, and Washington, and all of New England, who have relatively decent policies now. Um, what do you think is going to be the mechanism by which we either keep this country together
Mm.
or find other ways to manage? I mean, like Massachusetts is trying to make up for all the things that the feds keep taking away, and we, like Gavin, are talking about holding the tax money that goes to the feds. But like, how do you think we manage this?
I like that idea. I genuinely do. I think that that's the kind of fuck you, make me energy that we need. Um, and the states and the governors need to be in better coordination with each other. I fully acknowledge that they are governors and they are running their own states with millions and millions of needs, and that is a full-time job. But that they also need to be uh, seeing this from a larger perspective, that their coordination, cooperation, and consolidation of resources will lead to a greater effect in fighting back against this federal overreach, this regime's overreach. Um, there's this. It's funny. The Democrats have always been the party of big government, federal government, and now the Republicans are. And Democrats need to leverage the power at the state level to withhold and do what they need to do to achieve their goals. I think that Prop 50 in California is an important measure. I love that Governor Newsom is putting it out there in the field. It's polling well now. There are ads out. It needs to succeed. It's one of those metrics where like you need to pass this to prove to me you can do something later, and this will help. This will help combat uh, the work that Texas is doing, Utah as well now. It'll get more seats for Democrats in Congress. It'll force the opposition to uh, take a step back, to punch back. So we have to keep doing these things because it's how we preserve our financial freedom, our control over our own economy, over our lives. These are critical. So these are critical issues. And I know the states are coordinating. They are
Mhm.
developing. As the CDC becomes, this bizarre Kennedy experiment of his. Yeah, that's exactly how I feel. That huff you just
Mhm.
that's despicable.
The states
They're
are stepping
coordinating
in.
on. They're fixing it. I know California is producing its own vaccines. It's distributing them. It's going to become its own center. It's coordinating with Washington and Oregon in this way. So it will fill the gap. It will do what needs to be done. And look, we're California is what, the world's fifth largest economy, fourth
Fourth,
largest
fifth,
economy.
whatever. Yeah.
Okay, we're splitting hairs here, right? Um,
Right.
Whatever levers of power that determines economically, you control that, and you don't give an inch because fuck you, make me. This isn't about. This isn't a game anymore. Like we have to take very strong, active approaches to. It's not resistance. It's non-compliance, and I don't know. They're going to send the National Guard to arrest our governor. Hire mercenaries. I don't know. I mean, these like where are we going with this? Like, just follow it to its logical conclusion, right? There is
Well, that
no.
yeah. So I don't know which conclusion you were getting to, that the state should hire mercenaries or that the
that
feds will,
that
which the feds already have. Um,
Yeah, I mean that we need to take the road to defend ourselves. If we don't feel
mhm,
that the courts are just and arbitrating justice in a way that is uh, correct, and the federal government is using its power to uh, adjudicate grudges between the uh, dictator and his opponents, in party, out of party, wherever, um, we have to take control. We have to fight back in every way. I don't see how you cede ground to this. There's too much terrain to fight on, but you have to be there. And that's again, like we started about with this question of authenticity. Like it's about being present in those
mhm.
spaces and genuinely fighting for what you believe in and what you're doing. I mean, I'll I'll just make mention, like, Kamala Harris has written a book. I think it's a fair book for her to get to write. It's a unique and terrible experience that she's probably had to endure in that. And I would honestly like to see her in Portland or on the ground in these places if indeed she believes that these things are a threat to our existence existentially. I don't. Same thing with President Biden. I hope he recovers well from his cancer treatment. You told us that this regime is an existential threat to the country, and then you disappeared. I need to know that you weren't just joking, that you weren't just saying that casually.
Right.
Like,
That's the like grassroots being like, leaders, come on, like prove you know what's even going on because it
so
doesn't seem like you do.
Alex Padilla was thrown to the ground and arrested
Yep.
by ICE here. There's a woman uh, running for office in Chicago. I believe her name is Kat, and I'm not gonna pronounce her last name correctly. She's a journalist. She's an activist. She's a very smart woman. She's been attacked by ICE, and she coordinates with an office in Chicago regularly, where she's helping to uh, protect people, push back against their occupation. Uh, these are the people that are going to be the leaders of the movement. People who are there who have scars, who are doing this work because they know what's at stake. That's who will lead this party, and they will. There was going to be an election where it's like, I was there at the ICE invasion of Los Angeles, and I stood my ground. Where were you, sir? Off in your mansion, working from home. Like, there's going to be a moment where these are the defining experiences of our political leadership, and what that's going to do is it's going to tell them, you know what we need? We need to fix all of this shit. We need to change the way this is built, because nobody in your position, senator, congressman, president, should be able to get there without a level of authenticity to the American experience. You need to have some skin in this game,
Hmm.
um, and it's going to be this is that groundwork. This is that opportunity where people can shape their future.
That is a perfect way. I feel like we could talk about this for hours. I was particularly struck by your, like, the occupation of Chicago. We are at the stage where we're talking about the federal occupation of Chicago and Los Angeles and Portland, and it's and we do need to be laying the groundwork, and people do need to be, like, in touch with what's going on, and they're not. And so hearing you talk about it, being in part of communities that are talking about it, maybe being in the states that are going to be non-compliant, um, but then where does that lead? And that's a tough question also. So what
There's no
is
easy answers. There's no easy answers. This is all difficult, and there's always going to be a trade-off. Mind you, we're also having this conversation in the middle of week 2 of a government shutdown that is nowhere. So we're completely vulnerable. This whole thing happens during a backdrop of utter chaos, but nobody cares at that level because it's what they wanted. They're cutting different programs. It's being used as a tool. Another
Mhm.
reason why something like Prop 50 here is important, that they're using a shutdown to cut other valuable services for vulnerable people, for people, let's not even call them vulnerable, people who have been given an expectation to expect on certain services that to be delivered. That's not vulnerable. That's just being an American. That's what this is. So we're all being taken for a ride here, and we need to protect our interests. Um, and then
Agree.
if you, yeah, I wrote down, I think maybe my top 3 things for radical solutions that I think you can, uh,
All right,
that
let's hear
people
them.
should talk about. Okay. Nationalize the oil industry,
Okay,
100%. Um, Mandatory national service.
I
I think
agree.
everybody after the age of 18 should be required to join some form of government national service. That could be education, that could be military, that could be building homes. It's in a different community, it's in a different environment. You get a chance to grow, be away from home. Uh, it helps pay for college and whatever the hell it is. It gets you there. It gets you out of your bubble. It gets you into other places. You're connecting with different people, and you build bonds that aren't being shared right now. Um, and reparations for the Black community. Reparations specifically paid. This is a theory I've heard before. I'm not inventing this, but it's not a loan. Government money paid to families who have evidence of being um, uh, slaves and enslaved, and that money is used to create new business, new community, new expenditures, new things. If if we want to grow our country, let the Black community that has been held back from a lot of that uh, spur some of that growth. There's a lot of precedent to show that it's needed, that it's meaningful, that it has value, that it's important, and it's the right thing to do. And it's going to piss off some people. And then one day, some of those people are going to get a job working for those people, and they're going to be grateful that they have a job, because that's how this country goes forward. You can't hoard this wealth. Um, I mean, you can also reinstall Glass-Steagall. You can stop. There's a lot of
Well,
corporate trading on. Yeah, there's a lot of corporate trading. We haven't gotten to the Wall Street side of it, but yeah. And on
no,
the
we
national
haven't, and that's a big one.
national no, but is it radical to nationalize the oil companies? Absolutely. Trump is already setting the precedent by taking a percentage of Nvidia chips or something that they're trading. Like, no, the gas under
Intel.
our
Yeah.
Intel. I mean, look, if these companies are buying up water too, they're buying up water. Notice,
That
look what Nestle, look what these large corporations are buying up. It's water rights, water resources. One day the water in our tap isn't going to be drinkable because we take for granted that we had the world standard in water treatment. We're losing that battle. And as soon as it becomes normal that we just buy our bottled water at the store and not from the tap, what are you going to do then? How are you going to remember? Are you going to feel like we were entitled to it? I say the same thing for our oil. The oil is under our grounds. It's our country. I don't feel the need why one company should own all the oil and get to profit from it. You can tell me it's hard. You can tell me they deserve it. Um, well, they're going to get paid, but the money funds this can fund this country. That money could change how we operate. It would put you on a different playing field. I don't see any reason why it has to be this way.
I
I
mean,
think it's
that's why Saudi Arabia and Norway funds
yeah,
their like that's how they fund their state
yep,
services. And why shouldn't
that's
we?
it.
Yeah.
And you know what? I bet you that nationalize the oil idea, the right would love that too. Because it gets at the thing that everybody hates, which is economic instability, economic injustice. This is a huge profit center, and what, we don't get to share in it? This is crazy. There's those are radical things you can talk about and start to get people on board with because we're not in a place where things are normal anymore.
No, we're
Where
not.
we need to
We,
change everything.
yeah, we have to decouple healthcare from employment. We need some
Oh
way
yeah.
that people can be independent of like being slaves to employment. Like, I don't know whether it's universal basic income or something else, but it has to be like you get help because you're human. And
And you
and
can
what will
sell that.
flourish when that happens? Like
You
art.
how
People don't have to
how
hold the
easy, oh my god, yeah. Well, it is so easy to sell the idea of decoupling your healthcare from your job. It is the most American thing you can possibly do. That you don't have to be coiled to your job. Are you a brilliant entrepreneur? Of course you are. You're an American. How couldn't you be? Well, how are you having a hard time getting your new business off the ground? Of course you are, because your job has your healthcare. Well, that's why the American government has healthcare for all. So you don't have to worry about that. Your family will be safe while you pursue the next great idea to help make this world a better place because you can do it. And you don't have to worry about your job because your job is helping everyone, making the world better. This is the easiest thing to market. And the idea that we have trouble because it's going to shutter some insurance company doors is nonsense to me.
right. It's completely bonkers. Yeah. On that note, I will I won't take up more of your time. Um, plus I have to help somebody with a college essay. And I think I want to keep talking to you because this is like a conversation that needs to be had all the time.
Oh,
Um,
thank you. I really enjoy these chats.
all right. Well,